Alright, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is video number 2, our second video for sex. It happens. Maybe. Maybe not. You know. I know. You decide. Sex. Is it happening? Where we last left off is recognizing we have 4 problems. 4 questions that we want to learn more about. We want to know why we look and why we act the way we do. We want to understand how to make babies and why all babies are born unique and different. They all look different, right? If we can learn about problem number 1 and 2, we are ready to do our project and learn more about problem 3 and 4. Remember, it's all about we want to study problem 1 and 2. We want to learn a lot about problem 1 and 2 so that we can do our project and get our medical file. So again, our project that we're working to is getting our doctor file that contains information on our patient, and then we'll proceed as doctors to diagnose and treat a genetic disorder. So one of your patients is going to have a genetic disorder, and you got to diagnose them and help them, treat them, give them medicine. And that'll be accomplished with problems 3 and 4. So at the end of the chapter, we will finally achieve problem 3 and 4. But first, we need to study and think about problem 1 and 2. So let's get started on it. We last left off on slide 6. We finished it, so let's do slide 7. All right, welcome. This is slide 7. Slide 7, go ahead and pause it and go ahead and write slide 7 in your notebook. Again, that's slide 7. You can see the 7 here. Slide 7. And in your notebook, copy down the definition inside the pink box. The definition is gametes. Say it with me, gametes. Gametes you should care about. Because when a man and a woman love each other, it might involve gametes. Sex cells, like egg and sperm. These are real images, by the way, of egg and sperm. These are taken with a special microscope that photographed what a real human cell could look like when it's dyed blue, just so it stands out. And this is a real sperm. It might, in fact, be located inside a female at the time. So they had a really special microscope that could identify a sperm inside a female. And this sperm has been dyed pink. Pretty crazy. You might find this creepy or awesome. Hopefully both. All right. What we need to do is complete the tasks 1 through 5 for this slide. So we have in our notebook, we need to draw the table. So we need to draw a box with 4 sections. So in your notebook right now, go ahead and draw a box with 4 sections. Just like you see here, big old box with 4 sections. Next, it says draw the female gamete in place 1 and 2. The female gamete is an egg. So in place 1 and 2, it says draw the female gamete. So draw an egg here on the outside of the box, and then draw another egg a little lower on the outside of the box. Next, it says draw the male gamete in place 3 and 4. So place 3 and 4. This is place 3, you draw a sperm. And place 4, you draw a sperm. Next, it says number 4, it says pick a human trait to be inherited from egg and sperm. You place that at place 5. So we got to pick a human trait, some kind of human trait, where it says place 5. So we got place 5 right here. So in your notebook, above the box you drew, you would write trait equals, and then draw the blank. And then you decide what's a human trait that you want to study or you think would be interesting to show. And you would write, you could do a physical trait like hairstyle, like straight hair, curly hair. You could do hair color. You could do skin color. You could do eye color. You could say something about the face, like a face trait, or your thumb shape, right? The trait could also be personality, just like we studied before. It could be passion, work, focus, push, serving, persistence, any human personality trait. You just pick one, physical or personality, and write it right here. It says, lastly, it says, fill in each square with an egg and a sperm So you got to show fertilization. Fertilization is when an egg is with a sperm. They meet, right? You got to draw that in place 6 and 9. So 6, 7, 8, and 9. 6 through 9. So in each box, you got to draw a sperm and an egg together. Place 7, you got to draw a sperm and egg together. It'll look like this when you're done. So you have a box. On the top of the box, you drew in place 3 and 4, you had sperm. In place 1 and 2, you have eggs. In place 6, 7, 8, and 9, you would draw sperm and egg together. Fertilization. Sperm and egg are in love. Love is in the air. Lastly, at place 5, or location 5, you wrote trait equals, and you could choose anything. I chose fat cells. We're just coming from our old chapter, Hustle for That Muscle, and in our old chapter, we learned a lot about fat cells, so I just thought it would be a trait that we could show gets inherited. You have larger fat cells that store lots of energy, or you have smaller fat cells that do not store a lot of energy, based on your parents. So based on dad's sperm and mom's egg, you either have larger energy-storing fat cells or you have smaller non-energy storing fat cells. So you could possibly be overweight or super skinny, depending on the sperm and egg of your parents. So the fertilization made you. All right, in your notebook, we're ready for our next slide. Since we're talking about our parents, let's come up with some special words to describe parents and children and the right generation. So first things first, in your notebook, write slide 9. Again, this is slide 9. And in slide 9, you need to document this definition. So you write down this definition. Parents equal P generation. P for parents. P for parents, P generation. And then their children, we call the F1 generation, the first generation. F1, the children, F1. If the children have kids, we call that the F2 generation. All right, let's zoom in on the task. It says for slide 9, you want to list A, B, C, D, E, F. You have all these letters, right? In your notebook, write down A equals blank, B equals blank, C equals blank, D, E, and F equals blank. So write these letters in your notebook and then write them down as, and decide if they are P generation, the oldest generation. If they're F1 generation, the first children, the middle generation, or if they're the F2, the youngest generation. Let's do A, B, and C together. A is the oldest plant here. It's the biggest plant. It's the oldest. We would say A equals, in your notebook, you would write A equals P generation. Next one we have B. It's the youngest girl. The youngest person in this family, this girl, we would say she is the F2. She's the youngest. So B equals F2 generation. Next we would do C. C equals, this is the oldest woman in the family. This woman is the parent generation, the P generation. So we would write C equals parent generation. Please write that in your notebook. A equals P generation. B equals F2 generation. C equals P generation again. Now on your own, please answer D as, and decide, is D P, F1, or F2? Decide if E, these seeds, would be P generation, F1 or F2. And then decide if F, right here, this woman, would be the P generation, F1 or F2. So in your notebook, write those. So identify each image as P, F1, or F2. All right, welcome back. Next thing to do is to do slide 10. This is slide 10, so in your notebook, please write slide 10. Slide 10, it says, model your family's P, F1, and F2 generation. So you got to create a model. it says use the model to the left to draw. So in your notebook, you need to write slide 10 and copy this down. So draw this, but leave space because you need to add names to each person here. So you got to draw this model in your notebook and then save space. Make sure it's big enough and spread out so that you can add names to each person here. So here's an example of my family. I've modeled my family. I have Mike and Judy, my mom Judy, my dad Mike. They had 3 children. I only showed 2. I have my sister here and her husband, and I have my brother here, John. So my sister Cindy and my brother John. And my brother John, he has 2 kids. He has Jack and he has Lila. And my sister has 2 boys, Ethan and Nick. Ethan and Nick. That's all you got to do. So for you, do your own family and add names to each person. So make sure you have this drawn, this model, in your notebook for your family. All right, let's learn about 2 different traits now. We have dominant trait, and we have what we're going to learn about is recessive trait. Slide 11 and 12. So for slide 11, let's start with dominant. Let's write slide 11 in your notebook, and then copy the definition you see in the pink box. Let me put it in presentation mode. So go ahead and pause it, and go ahead and write the definition for dominant trait. So pause it and just copy down this definition for dominant trait. All right, next we want to answer a question that helps us think about dominant trait. So we got to study this model. We have this really great model here for eye color. We have a woman who has blue eyes. This is her eye color. She has blue eyes. And notice she has 2 blue bars here, and that's going to be important in a minute. So her blue eyes have 2 blue bars, and we have a father who has brown eyes, and he has 2 brown bars here. These bars represent chromosomes or genes. So he has 2 genes for brown eyes, and she has 2 genes for blue eyes. We have to decide, is brown or blue dominant? We don't know, right? So let's study the model. A woman with blue eyes and a man with brown had 4 kids. Look at their eye color. Are their eyes blue or brown? Study. Whatever shows up, whatever covers up the other color is the dominant trait. Again, it says dominant traits can be observed. It's what you see. It says dominant version of a gene covers up the recessive. Covers up means you don't see it. It's blocked. Dominant is what you see, what shows up, what you can observe, or what is expressed. So let's look. A woman with blue eyes, a man with brown have 4 kids. Which color shows up? Which color is observed? Brown eye color is A, and you have to decide. Dominant or recessive? Are brown eyes dominant or recessive? So whichever eye color you see that is observable, you would put here. So you would say brown eye color is A, and then dominant or recessive gene or trait. Next, we have this sentence. So make sure in your notebook, just like it says, you wrote number 1 and you copy down this sentence and you answer the blank. And then in your notebook, write question 2 and copy this sentence down. It says, when a child receives, and it's in color blue, right? So 1 blue eye color gene. So when a child receives 1 blue eye color gene, that's like this child right here, right? Or this kid. We have a child that has 1 blue eye color gene and 1 brown eye color gene right here. So they have 1 blue, 1 brown. It says a person will still have what color eye? If they have 1 blue and 1 brown eye color gene, what's their eye color? They will still have blank eye color because, and use this definition to explain if it's because they inherited a recessive eye color or a dominant eye color. Good luck.